and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavor show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. The source material we're looking at today is pretty extraordinary. It's this raw, very detailed glimpse into life in a farming community.
Yeah, a really tight-knit community, but clearly under a lot of strain.
Exactly. We're dealing with, well, profound tragedy on one hand, crippling economic isolation.
And then almost jarringly, this completely explosive scandal brewing at the local pub.
It was quite the contrast.
It really is. A study in extremes, you could say.
Yeah.
You go from the sheer weight of that isolation, the kind that can lead to real catastrophe, to the sort of everyday pressures that, well, apparently make people cheat to win a pub raffle.
Which sounds trivial, but the way it unfolds tells you a lot.
Absolutely. That contrast is what makes it so compelling, I think.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this. Our mission here, our deep dive today, is really twofold. First, we want to explore those, crushing pressures, financial, emotional facing modern farmers.
Using this specific case as a lens.
Right. And second, how small communities handle conflict, internal stresses, everything from someone returning after doing time to, well, cheating at the pub awards draw.
And the sources give us surprisingly specific details, don't they? Farm acreage, herd sizes, right down to who said what in the pub argument.
It's incredibly granular.
And if you connect it all, the bigger picture seems to be about a breakdown of trust, maybe. Trust in the community network, trust in fairness. Things like
that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So let's start with the tragedy itself, Mr. Mulligan's death. When the source material sort of picks up, we've got David Archer and Akram Malik already at Mulligan's farm.
Right, they're helping with the milking. And the first thing noted is that the place is, well, a shambles.
That description really lands.
Yeah.
A shambles.
And that visual, that disarray, it's immediately significant, isn't it? Because the source makes it devastatingly clear the failure here was fundamentally one of connection, or lack of it.
Yeah, the time lag is crucial. Mr. Mulligan died on Monday.
But wasn't found until Wednesday, 2 whole days. And his daughter, Esme, she hadn't even been officially told by the police yet when David and Akram are there.
That delay, it just hangs heavy in the air.
It really does.
And you see it hit David Archer hard. Almost immediately, he's processing this sense of regret, asking himself why he didn't check in more. He recognizes how easy it is to disappear. Alone on 120 acres, as he puts it.
That phrase is powerful.
And the line that really got me was David saying, I assumed he was doing okay. I shouldn't have assumed that. Just gut-wrenching self-reproach there.
It is, but what's fascinating and maybe a bit uncomfortable is that the source kind of hints that this silence, this not checking in, it's almost seen as a form of respect among some farmers.
Right. You don't bother your neighbor unless it's business. Keep yourself to yourself.
Exactly. That independence, it's supposed to be a virtue, right? But here, with Mulligan, it clearly tipped over into something dangerous. Lethal, even.
And David seems to realize that. He even wonders if he'd cope any better himself in that situation.
Yeah. Then Esme arrives. Mulligan's daughter, his only child.
And she's just completely overwhelmed. Understandably.
They give her the classic hot sweet tea, for shock.
The standard procedure.
But the shock quickly has to compete with really immediate practical problems.
Introducing the Archer's mug, where elegance meets everyday comfort. Crafted from premium white ceramic, designed with vibrant peekaboo colors inside, simple, modern, and stylish. Start your day the Archer's way, with warmth, familiarity, and the comfort of voices you've come to love. As the stories unfold on the Archers, let this mug become part of your daily ritual, a small reminder of life in Ambridge. Practical for every home, dishwasher and microwave safe. Available in 2 sizes, 11 ounces and 15 ounces, designed to fit your lifestyle. Enjoy your favorite drink in a mug that connects you to Britain's most beloved countryside story, The Archers. For more information, and to order your very own The Archers mug, follow the link below, and make it part of your daily routine.
Suddenly she's faced with managing this farm she knows nothing about.
And all the practical stuff too, like so much unanswered post. Just piles of it, apparently.
And then there's the whole issue with her father's attitude towards technology. It wasn't just like a quirk.
No, becomes a real problem.
The massive complication. He didn't have a mobile phone, hated technology. The only reason he kept the landline and broadband was because she insisted.
Probably for the farm business itself, minimal function.
Presumably. But it meant, when he needed connection the most, potentially he had the least. His own resistance created this extra vulnerability.
That's a really sharp observation.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just stubbornness, it had consequences.
Exactly. And David, to his credit, assures her they'll look after the herd, give her some breathing room to figure things out.
Which must have been some small comfort.
I imagine so. And then Esme shares that detail about his freezer. It's quite poignant.
Oh, the ready meals. Yeah.
Full of upmarket ready meals that she put there for him, meals he never touched.
And now she says she'll never use them either.
It's such a small detail, but it speaks volumes, doesn't it? About unexpressed care, maybe, missed connections, lost time. Her trying to look after him in this modern way.
And him resisting or just not engaging?
Yeah. It's a heartbreaking little symbol of that gap between them, perhaps.
Okay, so connecting this back to the underlying stress, Mulligan's isolation wasn't just personal preference, was it? It seems deeply rooted in the economics of running a smaller farm.
I think that's absolutely right. The source immediately draws a contrast, doesn't it? Mulligan's 120 acres versus David Archer's place, Brookfield.
Which is what, 469 acres? A huge difference in scale.
A massive difference. But the key insight, and this is crucial, is that even that much larger scale doesn't automatically mean financial security, not by a long shot.
Yeah, the numbers for Brookfield are kind of staggering when you think about it.
Yeah.
60 beef Herefords, 350 milkers, 250 ewes. Sounds like a huge operation.
It is huge. But then David points out, even with all that, they can still only pay 3 full-time salaries.
Only 3, which means his own sons, Josh and Ben, they had to find work elsewhere.
Exactly. That tells you the margins must be incredibly tight. Terrifyingly tight for such a big enterprise.
It forces them into this constant state of adaptation, doesn't it? Just as the source says, to squeeze a living off the land.
And the examples of diversification really drive that home. Renting out the bungalow, using the events barn, anything to bring in extra cash flow. It's not just farming anymore.
No, juggling multiple businesses.
And even the core farming strategy has had to change drastically.
Right. They sold their Friesians, the traditional dairy breed, after Ruth, David's wife, went to New Zealand.
And shifted towards a predominantly grass-fed herd. Why does the source highlight that?
Well, you explained it as pure economics, right?
Pretty much. It's about optimizing feed costs. They need a breed that calves exactly when the grass is most nutritious to minimize reliance on expensive supplementary feed. It's hyper-efficiency driven by necessity.
That sounds relentless.
It is! David reflects on it, saying farming is as natural as breathing for him, but then he questions if that's a blessing or a curse.
Because you just live with the stress.
You live with it so long you barely notice it consciously, until something like Mulligan's death happens and it throws that constant grinding pressure into sharp relief. You realize it's the very air you breathe.
Okay, so we see this immense pressure on the farming side, economic, leading to isolation, eroding maybe community checks and balances. But what happens when pressure builds up right in the social hub, the pub?
Ah, yes. The bull, where the stress manifests in, let's say, very different ways, more micropolitical.
Definitely micropolitical. The community seems to be wrestling with its own ethical boundaries there, too.
Absolutely. Controversy number 1, George Grundy's return.
Right. He's done his time, served his sentence for whatever he did, and just walks in for lunch with Eddie and Clary. Like nothing happened.
And this immediately splits the bar staff, which is a great little snapshot of the community's fault lines on forgiveness or second chances.
You've got Jolene on one side being pragmatic. She basically says, look, his return was inevitable. The family's been here forever. He paid his dues. Let's move on.
Yes, sort of. What did you expect?
But then you have Tracy, who's absolutely furious, vows he'll get short shrift, be deliberately ignored or treated badly if he comes in on her shift.
So, no easy consensus there. Even in a small community, ideas about justice and reintegration are all over the place.
Exactly. But then we get to the real trauma, the pub awards ticket draw. This is something else.
Oh, this is where it gets properly interesting, yeah. High stakes. Well, relatively speaking.
Relatively. So, Lillian is running the draw. 3 names in the hat, or rather the ice bucket. Tracy, Joy, and Fallon.
And Lillian tries this move, claiming she put everyone's name in twice to make it fairer.
Which, as Tracy immediately points out,
It's the same odds, doesn't change a thing mathematically.
but Lillian's reply is just gold. I know, but it feels better.
That right there should have been a red flag, that justification. It feels better. It's already signaling some, shall we say, flexible ethics.
Totally. And surprise, surprise. Who wins?
Fallon, who just happens to be Lillian's daughter, or maybe niece. Some relation anyway.
The optics are terrible. But it gets better.
Oh, it does, because Lillian tries to quickly ditch the evidence, right? Empty the ice bucket.
But Tracy's too quick, snaps it up, then goes straight for the bin.
Finds the proof, the little folded slips of paper.
And discovers Lillian basically wrote Fallon's name on almost every single slip.
Now that is commitment to rigging a raffle. That's not just a nudge, that's a full-on shove.
So Tracy confronts her. You cheated, Lillian.
And Lillian's defense, pure small-town brilliance, admits she may have nudged the result.
May have nudged it.
But insists it was only in the best interest of the pub. How fixing a raffle for your relative helps the pub is, beyond me.
It's completely absurd logic. But the ethical tangle doesn't end there, does it?
Not even close. Because Jolene, who's righteously accusing Lillian,
Gets immediately shut down.
by Lillian reminding everyone that Jolene herself fixed the Name the Kitten competition some time back.
Oh, brilliant. The hypocrisy is palpable.
It completely neutralizes Jolene's moral high ground. She tries to deny it, then sort of backtracks. Well, it was, but it's not the same thing.
Which, of course, it absolutely is. Same principle.
It just shows, doesn't it? When people feel under pressure, or maybe just really want something small, like their daughter winning tickets, or their preferred kitten name chosen.
The justifications come easily. That little nudge seems okay in the moment.
Exactly. Everyone seems capable of it.
So how do they resolve this mess?
Well, thankfully, technology comes to the rescue. Sort of. They demand another draw,
A proper one this time.
using a random generator app on a phone or tablet. A spinning wheel, it sounds like, with 3 equal slices for Tracy, Joy, and Fallon, taking the human element out.
And the result of the legitimate draw.
Tracy wins. In a nice moment of, actual fairness prevailing, the impartial algorithm works.
Sometimes you just need the machine to keep everyone honest, I guess.
So, wrapping this up, what have we really seen here?
Well, we've definitely explored that crushing weight of solitude on the farm, where, that anti-technology stance wasn't just eccentric, it was potentially fatal.
And then you set that against the almost farcical micropolitics of the pub. The high drama over a fixed raffle.
2 very different arenas,
Yeah.
but maybe similar underlying themes.
I think so. We've seen 2 distinct ways people react under pressure, haven't we? The farmers, under huge economic stress, they adapt relentlessly. But that same pressure maybe feeds a silence and isolation that leads to tragedy when people don't check in.
Like David not checking on Mulligan.
Exactly. And then in the pub, the pressure is more social, maybe status related, and it leads Lillian to justify these small cheats, these nudges, for what she claims is the greater good.
The best interest of the pub.
Right. So the sources seem to show that whether the pressure is financial, pushing people into isolation, or social, tempting them into small deceptions, it corrodes honesty, makes it harder to live transparently.
So the tragedy of Mulligan's lonely death and the, frankly, absurdity of the rigged raffle. They're kind of 2 sides of the same coin.
In a way, yeah. Both stem from a willingness to make assumptions, perhaps. Dangerous assumptions. David assuming Mulligan was okay.
And Lillian assuming she could get away with fixing the draw or that it was somehow justified. Assumptions about neighbors, about fairness, about community resilience.
And the ultimate cost of not checking in, whether it's checking on a neighbor's actual well-being or checking the basic honesty of a process like a raffle, it turns out to be pretty high in different ways.
It really makes you think. What assumptions are you making right now about the people in your own life, about their financial state, their emotional well-being, even the ones who seem totally fine, totally in control?
Yeah. What are we not checking? Something to definitely ponder until our next deep dive.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches. Any
Are you what we
movements
call Foley then?
and- kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the ball bar. That's.
This one.
Yep. That's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now.
No.
I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline. I mean,
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever